When I was a child, it was very conclusively believed that if you become a mother, you cannot be a good mother if you work outside. It's not an ideal situation, it's not an ideal condition because number one, your priorities will be divided. You will have some priority outside of the caregiving of your child, which is not ideal. And number two is you having any kind of an autonomous desire to have an autonomy over what you like other than being a mother, what your aspirations are other than being a mother and a wife. If you have any kind of an autonomous aspiration, that will pollute your ability to love in a self sacrificial way, to give it all, which is what children need and which is what a family needs. And therefore, if you are working outside as a mother, you will not be able to be a good mother. I have heard this several times when I was a child. But if there is a situation which is uncommon, for example, you lost your husband, you have no one to take care of your family, or your husband left you, or something like that, then we will accept if you go out because you don't have a choice. But it's still a less than ideal situation and it should be avoided when it can be avoided. Funnily enough, as I grow older and older, I realize that the truth is the exact opposite. Because the more you as a human being are able to model what it means to exist in a society as an autonomous human being, the more your children will learn from you what it means to be an autonomous, multifaceted human being. A human being who is participating in the society intellectually. They are aware. They are participating legally. They are aware of the regulation. They are aware of where it comes from. They are participating politically. They have their own independent political opinions, both the caregivers, the father and the mother. And they are participating in terms of labor also. The more multifaceted and autonomous your children see you growing up, the better of a model you are providing for them as to what it means to be a human being and what it means to exist in this society as an independent, autonomous human being. There are people who argue that one person must be the lead or the head of the family, etc. It makes much less sense to me now because then the model of relationships that you are showing your children is where one person is constantly in a position of authority, even though that person knows that he isn't right all the time and he doesn't have the right answers all the time, because no one person has the right answers all the time. That is the role that has been imposed upon him, to constantly be in a position of authority, to constantly dominate, and the other person is constantly being dominated. And either she is okay with being dominated or she is okay with the role. It's just the role that she has been given. These are the only two ways that you are teaching your children that they can exist in society. And you are really not modeling what it would mean for them to engage in relationships with other human beings, especially when they are romantically or sexually involved with those human beings, like they are human beings. I don't think this is a healthy model, as much as people love to say that this is the way society should be. I think this is a very incorrect model of raising children, because you are raising a generation of children, generation of adults who are quite literally incapable of creating relationships where they don't constantly have the desire to one up the other person or the fear of getting subverted or being submissive. You are not creating healthy relationships. Other than that, just imagine, as a human being, if you, most of us have seen periods of unemployment. Most of us have seen periods of lethargy when we have nowhere to go, and we have nothing to do. For example, imagine what kind of a person you become after 6 months of unemployment. If in those 6 months you also didn't have enough money to go out, have a life, to interact with the world outside, you were bound financially, so you always had to be inside your own house. You become underconfident, you become very hazy, you lose your confidence to interact with the world outside, and you also lose touch with what the world is. Your mind kind of is not active like before, and this is not the case all the time. If you have a lot of money and if you have 6 months of unemployment, you can make use of it. I'm talking about situations where that's not the case. If you are putting a human being, a complete human being, in a bubble, and you are telling them that now this bubble is your world, you are making them dull and you are making them underconfident. They lose after a point their confidence to be able to navigate the world outside. And you are making them overly dependent on the validation that comes from their child or their husband, in some cases, needing them. You are creating this pathway where for 5 years, for 6 years, I am getting all of my sense of self, my sense of who I am, on the basis of how much you need me or how much the child needs me. I am never going to want to for that child to not need me. And this is what happens in case of a lot of mothers who have partaken into that sacrificial idea of love, where they have given away all of their life, all of their agency, every single other aspect of their personality they have killed because they have been told that that's the correct way to be a mother. Not only are you modeling a human being in front of your child who is not thriving, who's not emotionally and mentally thriving, you are creating extreme dependence in a way that you don't want that child to have independence after a point. You don't want that child to be able to think for himself or herself. And ultimately, you are raising children so that they go out in the society and are fully capable of acting in ways that are autonomous. That is the reason you are raising children. You are not raising them so that they are around you, so you can play with them like you play with your pets or you play with your toys. So, the purpose of raising them is that they are ready for the world. But if I make myself completely dependent on you needing me, then for me, you needing me is the first and the most primary thing in my life. You being ready, you being self sufficient, you being independent is way, way, way down the ladder, even if it exists. So, in my conclusion, my personal opinion, you don't have to be involved in a full 9 to 5 job, and it is perhaps even not ideal, it's very tiring. But if as a woman you stop participating in the world outside, you stop being aware of the world outside, you build this cocoon, you build this bubble, and you enter this bubble with your child, it will directly interfere with your ability to become a good mother. Because whatever your capacities are, if you want to be the primary caregiver, although the same applies to the father, whatever your capacities are, emotionally, physically, mentally, what your mental state is your mind active and happy, or are you drained and tired and purposeless and depressed? Your child will start absorbing every single thing right from the moment it's born. And I want to say, even before it's born, from the time it's within your womb, and even the decisions before you conceive, the decisions, mental habits you have cultivated all your lives, they get passed on to your progeny. There's enough studies for this. So, you will not be able to create the model of a good human being if you build that cocoon and you become absolutely emotionally stunted. Now, am I saying that it's easy? It's not easy. And very often, mothers who have to work out of necessity, they are extremely tired, and it's not easy. It's not an easy path to become a mother. Physically, biologically, mentally, emotionally, very tough. And if you are in a position where you have no choice and you are not working because of passion, you are working because you absolutely have to for survival, it's even more tough. So I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not being ungraceful towards women who are doing this. And I know that in some cases they put in like 18 hours work days every day, which the fathers are not necessarily doing. And I hope that we don't have a society where people have to work for survival as much, at least by the time that they choose to have children, but it's not a fact. So I'm not saying it's easy, it's very tough, it's not a perfect system that we are living in, but this very old notion of women should prioritize family, women should be mothers. If women and men and the primary caregivers involved that the child is constantly exposed to and the child looks up to are not individuals who are autonomous individuals, who are well rounded individuals, who are confident individuals, who are participating in society in ways that feel productive to them, so they feel relevant in other roles as well, other than them just being related to one person or being a mother or being a father. You will only be able to be a good parent if you are able to model for your child what it means to exist in society as a full multifaceted person, and ultimately in ways that make you happy. You don't have to buy somebody else's template of what it means to be a happy person, but in ways that make you happy and in ways that make you not stunted intellectually and emotionally and in every which way. I don't think you can create a good role model for your child. I don't think you are teaching the child what it means to actively participate in society as a complete person. So the older I have grown, the more I feel like the opposite of what I was told as a child is true. Working mothers or women who participate fully in society, who have their own passions and their own interests outside of being related to someone as a mother or a wife, often are in a position where they can provide the absolute best role models for a child to look up to and a child to grow up with.